Yes, welcome everyone. This is Instructor Sumakashwa, and I'm a PSW instructor, and I will talk today about the topic of the dementia. The dementia is very important when we talk about it because it is something that's affecting a lot of houses in the whole world. It's affecting the whole world nowadays. Like you see right now, you can see here that one new case of dementia every 7 seconds, which is like in the whole world, every 7 seconds, there is one case of dementia, which is too much and uh, very big rate if it goes like this way. I would just, before we talk about the dementia is that kind of sickness or a kind of that affect the brain itself. But the brain is the main central place functioning in the whole body. For that reason, the brain is having a lot of functions. The brain functions including remembering anything, think, talk, listen, and see. Use any parts of the body. That's all controlled by the brain. And the dementia usually attack the brain. Examples of problems faced if the brain is not functioning properly. If it's not functioning properly, there's forgetting names of people and so on. The brain is very important to remember. The brain consists of the frontal lobe and parietal lobe and the occipital lobe and the temporal lobe and the brain stem and the cerebellum. All these parts consist, some of them are regarding the memory. Like here, the frontal lobe, part of it is concerned with the memory. The temporal lobe concerned with learning, hearing, and feeling, and so on. So what I want to tell you is that the brain is the center of the whole human body. For that reason, it's very important because if something attacks the brain, it attacks the whole body or attacks the origin or the base of the whole body system. If something happened to brain, you will forget the daily activities. You might brush your teeth but forgot to rinse your mouth. You might, as example, while making tea, you may forget to light the stove to boil the water. You might forget this, you might forget that, and also there is a place like the cerebellum. This is responsible about the balance of a human and emotion of the human. I just want to say first, what is the meaning of dementia? Once we start, we want to see what we mean by dementia and how we can go to deal with the dementia as PSW, as professions or health caregivers. How can we deal with the dementia and how we can affect the dementia or see the dementia? I'll just have here a small video that will make it more. Let's go here and see. Then we will complete discussing part by part regarding
Dementia is
this.
a general term that is people with dementia have difficulty completing everyday activities, and symptoms worsen over time. Dementia happens when nerve cells in the brain stop working properly. There are many types of dementia. Some types include Alzheimer's disease, frontotemporal dementia, Lewy body dementia, and vascular dementia. Some people may have changes in their brain caused by more than one type of dementia. The risk of developing dementia increases as individuals grow older.
So the first thing I just want you to know is that there is many types of dementia, and it's always affecting the people when they become aged. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a categories of people who are less than 50 years old and they have dementia as well. That's another point. Let's go back and see.
Most people with dementia are age 65 or older, and research shows that about 1 in 3 people age 85 or older in the United States may have some form of dementia.
It's a kind of sickness or a disease which doesn't come to a particular people, it comes to anyone. Like Ronald Reagan, the United States, has been written with dementia. And also big people like people who won Nobel Prize Some of them, they had dementia. In my back home, Egypt, as example, Omar Sharif, the actor, has the dementia and passes away with the dementia. So dementia becomes something very common. Don't forget that I said every 7 seconds in the whole world, there is a case of dementia, a dementia case. So here it shows that it is a fatal disease right now, and this is important. And though 1 of 3 persons in the United States aged 85 and above have the dementia, that doesn't mean also that it is away from younger people than 85 years. Let's go and see.
Still, dementia is not a normal part of aging. Not everyone develops it as they grow older.
I just want to say something here to explain something. It doesn't mean that I'm an old guy that I will get the dementia. No, doesn't mean that when I'm aged that I will get this dementia. It might, like we said, 1/3 of the people above 85 will have there's a probability that they catch dementia. But that doesn't mean that the other 2/3, which are aged, had dementia as well. So, yeah.
Scientists are working to discover why some individuals develop dementia and others don't. While healthy lifestyle approaches, such as regular exercise, may help some people reduce their risk of developing dementia, more research is needed. Dementia can cause problems with thinking, memory, and behavior. Some people may also have trouble controlling their emotions.
So that's what we will see later on, the effect of dementia on the way the people think, on their memory, and on their behavior. That's how it will look and how it will affect, like what we will see in the upcoming parts.
Term that describes the loss, learn, or remember, or talk with your doctor if you have concerns about.
Okay, that was a part, and I left for you the link down here on the notes about dementia and what the meaning of dementia. We'll go back right now. We were talking about the functions of brain because the brain is the most important part of the body, which is affected with the attack by the dementia. So the brain, without the brain, you cannot remember anything. Think, talk, listen, see, use any parts of the body. Examples of the problems like visiting the brain, not functioning properly, and forgetting names of people. This is how it works. And we said we have here part 1, part 2, part 3, parts 4, 5, 6 parts, which is parts of the brain. And each part of it is having specific functions in for the body organs. Here I will just show right now about the dementia or about the parts of the brain. And each part is consisting of what and functions, and what are the functions of each part of the brain. So the frontal lobe here, which is the front part of behind the forehead here in this part. So the frontal lobe is responsible about problem solving, judgment, inhibition, and personality, emotional traits, language production, and motor planning. So here, these are the things which is very conceptual and very, the conceptual skills of a human is concentrated in this part of the brain. The temporal lobe, understanding languages, organization, and sequencing and information retrievals and music awareness, memory, hearing, learning, and feeling. In this part, which we call it temporal lobe, you can see the color itself, and here temporal lobe. The third part here on the human body is parietal lobe. The parietal lobe, which is yellow color here, the parietal lobe, which is very responsible about the sense of touch, the spatial perception, the visual perception, academic skills, math calculations, reading, and writing. We can see here also that learning is in that part, and reading and writing in the yellow part. So here, there is a connection also between the organs or the functions of these organs of these parts of the brain. Occipital lobe is for the visual to see and for visual interpretation and for reading as well. So we have two parts now for reading. We have this part, the parietal, and we have also the occipital part also is responsible about the reading. Cerebellum is like for the coordination and the balance and equilibrium. And the brainstem here, the last part, which is the brainstem, it's basically responsible about the balance of the body and the reflexes and the breathing and swallowing and digestion. So these are the parts, and each function of the each part of the body of a human body, and how it helps and to contribute into the whole all over system of the human. We'll go right now after we see now something about the functions of the brain. We talk about the brain functions, the parts of the brain, and each part of it is responsible about a particular job and has its own contribution into the whole organs of a human body. We will come now to a very important point, which is the aging. We said 1/3 in the United States, as example, 1/3 of the population who are aged 85 and more, they are attacked by the dementia. But we said also that aging is not a correlated 100% into dementia, or dementia is not correlated 100% into ages. By other meaning, not anyone aged must have a dementia. It doesn't mean that everyone is aged must have a dementia. No, we didn't say like this. We didn't say like this. We said there is a part or a partial of the whole or the total population who are aged. Yes, the age is one factor of one impact factor of the determinants of the dementia, but it is not everything. But also we have beside this in the aging, while person is aging, he has start to have some deficiencies in his organs. As example, the brain cells are lost. Here we have with the aging, brain cells are lost, nerve conductions slow, responses and reaction times are slower, reflexes are slower, and vision and hearing decrease. This is not everything. Also, the taste and smell decrease, touch and sensitivity to pain decrease. That's all when we grow elder. All these problems happen when we grow elder. Blood flow also has to the brain is reduced. For that reason, you find sometimes problems in thinking, problems in just focusing, and so on, because of the blood which reach the brain is less. Changes in sleep patterns occur, and mild word finding of problems as well. Mild word finding problems occur. As example, I can't remember this word, these things. What we used to talk about. What is the meaning? This is what, a cup or what? So I have difficulties in remembering what was this about. Dementia, which we are talking about, and the topic of all these videos, which it doesn't affect only the patient, but it affects all people around the patient, his family, his blood, his people in contact with, direct contact with. All these people are affected with the dementia as well. Since the patient will be suffering and in panic, so his beloved ones, and they will also be in a panic as well. Consequently, they will have, because they have part of the responsibility about him. As example, he cannot drive. They are very worried if you go away and he's lost, and they are worried to leave him alone in a house or apartment or whatever. They are very worried about him, that he go to the kitchen and open the stove and forget it, or he might slip on the stairwell and fall on the stairwell, or whatever, or he might just hold the cord and put his finger, insert his finger while he's putting the cord in the plug in the cord. So all this might be there not from the patient himself. The patient is not conscious, is not aware of everything around him, but the family is in trouble as well. So this is why we call patients and people around the patient as well. That's why we call it the patient and the people around the patients all are in the same problem. That's why we say it's all about problem. Now, how we can help to reduce the patient's distress and caregiver burden as well. I want you to know here some facts about dementia. There are some facts here about dementia. Like as example, we have here 7 facts about dementia worldwide. Approximately 45 million worldwide suffer from dementia. This is the first point I just wanted to know. Second point, worldwide, a new case of dementia is diagnosed every 4 seconds. 7.7 million new cases each year of dementia. We said 1/3 of any population is exposed to get dementia. Women over 65 are almost 2 times more likely to develop dementia than men. Actually, women are more likely to develop dementia than men. And that's what we'll see now also in the curves, which we'll see. Over the age of 65, but like we won't say, in general, women are more exposed to dementia than men do. By 2050, dementia is expected to affect 135 million people. Worldwide, here also, about 2.5 million people under the age of 65 suffer from some types of dementia. Yeah, we have 2 types of dementia, by the way, type that can be recovered and type that cannot be recovered. And that's what we will see in the next parts. If dementia care was a nation, it would be the 18th largest world economy. So here, dementia has its own consequences on the economic of a country, on the people who are living in a place, so it has a social and economic consequences on the people who are exposed or likely to develop the dementia. We'll move now forward for dementia definitions and facts about dementia. We saw a video about the dementia, and I will go right now to another video to show me what do we mean by the dementia. Also, here we go. And this is not very long, but it's okay. So as long as it's helping to get the idea of what is the dementia and how the dementia is developed in a body, and the categories which are exposed more for the dementia, and what is the effect of the dementia on a person in the ADL as well, like what we'll see after this, how it affect on him or her in their daily activities and so on. It has a panic consequences, especially when it goes into the last stages. Let's see this small video as well.
What is dementia? Dementia is the name for a group of symptoms that commonly include problems with memory, thinking, problem solving, language, and perception. In a person with dementia, these symptoms are bad enough to affect daily life. Dementia is not a disease in its own right, and it is not a natural part of aging. Rather, the symptoms of dementia are caused by different diseases that affect the brain, including Alzheimer's disease. Dementia is caused by a loss of nerve cells. It is a progressive condition, meaning that symptoms gradually get worse. This is because when a nerve cell dies, it cannot usually be replaced. As more and more cells die, the brain starts to shrink.
Just one thing here, guys. I want to tell you that the brain cells are not renewed or are not regenerated. The only cells in a human body which cannot be regenerated. This is the brain cells. So it's very unique because other cells might be generated, but the brain cells never be renewed or regenerated back. Instead of the died cells or deteriorated cells, it never goes back to a good one. That is for, and one thing more also, like what parts of the brain is damaged, then the brain will shrink. The brain will shrink. We will see now a picture of a regular or normal brain and another picture for a brain which is developed by dementia. Let's see.
Can sometimes be seen in a brain scan of someone with dementia. These scans show a slice through the middle of the brain from the front, like looking through the middle of a stick of rock. They show what happens to the brain of someone with Alzheimer's disease as their dementia progresses over several years. Note how the black areas become larger. This is because the brain tissue, the grey areas, continues to shrink or atrophy as nerve cells die off. Common symptoms of dementia include problems with day-to-day memory.
Yes, the brain it goes to shrink, And this is the most important part in the dementia. Let's go now for the consequences of the, or the results of the, or the symptoms of the dementia. And by the way, we will divide these symptoms into 3 stages. The first is the beginning, then the mild stages or the middle stages, then the last stages of the dementia. We have 3 stages for the dementia. Just I'm saying it now because we'll come to it right now. Okay, let's see.
Concentrating, organizing and planning, as well as difficulties with language and visual perception, and changes in mood. However, each person will experience dementia differently, and the symptoms depend on the areas of the brain that are affected. For example, if cells in the temporal lobes start to die, that person might have difficulties with their language. Nerve cell death in the occipital lobes can cause problems with vision. There is currently no cure for dementia, and many of the diseases that cause it are terminal.
Let me remind you also, there is no any treatment till the moment for dementia. No any treatment for it. Till the moment, no way. And it's progressive, like we saw here, and we saw progressive means that it never goes back to the best situation. It's getting worse. The case of the patient is getting worse day after day. So that was about the another video about the dementia. And we will go right now in between the videos and between the PowerPoint slides to see here. Here is the brain, looks like with a dementia. You can see here the cavities. There is some big cavities like. What the problem is that the brain is shrinking. There's a shrinking in the brain. And that will affect based on what we saw on the first slide. When we go back, like here, we said we have many parts of the brain. So we have, like as example, like what she was saying just now in the video, that if it attack or the shrinking came in this area, which is occipital loop, he might go blind because it will affect on the visual perceptions. If it comes in the start on the frontal, it will affect his memory and his personality, his judgments, his problem solving, The cognitive things will be affected here in that case. That's why we say it's affecting the brain, shrinking, like what we said here just now. If you see here, there is a shrinking. The brain is shrinking, and the cells which die will never be replaced. The cells which die will never be replaced. For that reason, this is another problem regarding the dementia. Okay, that's fine. Let me go to my definition, or it's not actually my definition. I'm working from many resources, but I'm just coming from the East and West, bringing from the East and West to you guys. Dementia is a general term used to progressive loss of brain. And I think this is the best definition, progressive loss. Progressive means it never go back to the right as it was before. And progressive loss of brain means the loss of the brain does not go all of a sudden. It will go gradually. Loss of part, then loss of other part, and so on. Brain functions that affect the ability to live and increase dependence. Here, I just want to say, one of the problems, the major problems of the dementia, or the consequences of the dementia, that it increase the dependability or dependence of the case or the patient. Because the patient will not be able to live alone or to help himself, even assessing him in mobility as well. So here the patient will be in a very bad situation. And he will need the help from the family, from you as a personal support worker. He will need someone to help him. Dementia is not part of normal aging. Again, we are saying, it doesn't mean that when I become aged over 65 and more, that I will get dementia. No, it doesn't mean like this. Yes, 1/3 of the people who are aged over 65 years old will get dementia, 1/3 of them, but not all of them. Not all of them. Dementia causes memory loss. We said again, we will say again, I will go back to the parts of the brain to show. Yes, the memory. The memory is, you will find the memory here in many parts. Like here as example, in temporal, you will find the memory. You will find also the memory in some places. It's basically the first thing will affect usually when a person has dementia. The first thing which pop up is or the first symptom is the memory and the confusion about things he cannot remember very well, like what we will see later on. He doesn't put the things in places. He finds difficulty to remember the name of the objects which he's using daily, and so on, like what we will see right now. But I'm just showing just now. What do you mean by dementia? Dementia is gradually loss of the brain functions. The brain functions is lost, is going gradually to be down. It is progressive loss of brain functions that affect the ability to live and increase dependence of the patient. So how it will affect dementia? Will affect thinking, like here, speaking, and making decisions. Like we said, we have parts of the brain is for the thinking and for making decision. Let me go back and see what I was talking about. We see here the judgment in the frontal lobe, the judgment and the personality and the emotional traits and so on. These are all here. And here also in the temporal lobe, we will find the hearing and the learning and the memory as well. So it affects many parts. Also here, when you can see here on the third part, which is parietal lobe, the senses, the perception, the academic skills and math calculation and reading and writing and so on. So here it will affect the functions of brains. This graph is very important when we talk about the dementia, because this graph show me it is statistics about the people with dementia in 2017. As you see here right now, look at the female. This is the curve of the female here. This is the curve of the female. You can see here that females are exposed more than males to get the dementia. They are exposed more than males to get the dementia, like what you see in front of you here. Females are more exposed. Again, I will say, females are more exposed to get dementia more than males do. This line, the dark green line, which I'm going on with the cursor just now, this line is for the males. But this turquoise color, this one, which is going like this now, with this goes for the female. So as you see here, females are more than males in developing dementia. Dementia is not only affecting the memory, it's affecting the way of thinking, the way of making decisions, everything from A to Z. Let me tell you, you brush your teeth, then you don't know what are you doing, where you will put the brush. You don't know the name of the brush. Sometimes you will forget the name of the brush. Sometimes you will put it not in its proper place. You might throw it in the basin, or you might throw it in toilet basin as well. You will not forget. Sometimes you will forget how to brush, how to do the brush. Sometimes you will forget the name of the brush itself. The name of the brush itself, that you will forget it as well. But it interferes with the ability to perform normal activities of daily living, like shopping, handling finances. You don't know the money now. I got the dementia. I will be able to know what this money, why this is my pocket here, and what it's doing in my pocket. And the denominations of the money, I don't know it. I forgot about it. Driving, personal hygiene, all this. For that reason, we say that the person who developed dementia or who was attacked by dementia is not independent anymore. The more the dementia goes progressive with him, the less he would be independent, and the more he will be dependent on the others to help him in activities of daily life, activities of everyday in daily life, like driving, eating, grooming, dressing, all this. For that reason, the PSW's role here is very important, like what we will see. PSW will become like the assistant for these patients and to give them a hand, like what we'll see in the upcoming parts. Please note that dementia is a general term used to progressive loss of brain functions that affect the ability to live and increase dependence. And that's what we were talking about. This is the first point. Second thing, dementia, let me get this pen. Dementia is not part of normal aging, and we said this as well. So it's not, doesn't mean that everybody's aged that he will get dementia. Dementia causes memory loss. It affects thinking, speaking, and making decisions because we said that the brain will shrink. And the brain is having all these functions. The brain is having the thinking, speaking, visual, to see, and to think, and to make decisions. All these are works of the brain. So once the brain is attacked and been affected, then it will affect all these functions. It interferes with the ability to perform normal activities, daily living, like shopping, handling finances, driving, and so on, and hygiene. When a person starts to develop or being attacked with the dementia, persons start behaving differently. They start to behave differently, including insomnia, wandering, apathy, and aggression. In its final stages, dementia makes the patient fully dependent on the others, even to turn the patient every 2 hours, because he doesn't know even the mobility, and he forget about the mobility and forget about how to move. He sometimes forget about the eating, how to eat. طيب. Those are the things which the dementia will affect in human body. These are the things which dementia will affect. So dementia will affect the following: will affect the memory, will affect the insights, will affect the ability to plan, will affect information processing, will affect ability to reason on or learn new ideas, the language skills as well, filtering systems, especially if you have two languages, your native language and the other language. If someone develop dementia, he will forget about the second languages, the second language which he's talking, and orientation, spatial awareness, pain perception, tolerance to stress, and control mechanism. These are the things which will affect. Actually, it's more than this. It's more than this point. It's more than just the memory and the insight and the ability to plan and information processing and so on, etc. It's more than those points, but we're going to it one by one. A person who has a dementia cannot understand what's being said. They respond differently to situations. In one situation, he will act, behave, a type of behave, and in the same situation, another time, he might behave in different behaves, in different way of behaving. Often they show strong emotions like frustration, rage, and withdrawal. Sometimes the patient behavior can harm the patient himself or the people around the patient. This may happen because some needs of physical emotional is not met. That was about the dementia, the definition of dementia. And we had an idea about what is the meaning of dementia. Today, I will just go now, before we go to the dementia types or the second part of this lecture, I will just go to add some questions here in this part. So my first question is, we'll go to this, answer this question. Define dementia. Define dementia. Second question, here we go. This is define dementia, which we said before, it's a gradually loss of brain functions because the brain is shrinking. Second question, this was question one. Let's write it here, question one. We'll go to question two and say, discuss in numbers, discuss in numbers the dementia worldwide. We said that every 7 seconds there is a case of dementia in the whole world. And we said also that women are more likely to develop dementia than men. Those are the two things which we said. Discuss in numbers the dementia worldwide, which is more affected, men or women. Of course, we said women are more affected, like I showed you before here. Let us go to it back. Here it is. You can see here that the female are more exposed to the dementia more than males do. We'll go to the question 3. Let's take this question here like this, then go here and put it Control V. Third question, we'll work on it right now before we move to the types of dementia. The third question will be 3. Discuss the consequences of a patient who developed dementia. So here, by other meaning, he will tell me what is happening to him or her. So starting with, as example, memory. The memory is affected. The way of thinking is affected. The ADL, the activities of daily living, is also affected. The patient concentration is affected. The patient even can repeat back what he's saying many times. The patient can respond into one situation, the same situation, with different behaviors in all the cases, and this is also another problem. So here, when we talk about the effects, so you will tell me what are the effects of the dementia in general. We just need this in general right now because we'll go in the further in the upcoming parts to know about the stages of dementia and how, because it goes from worse into worsen. It goes worsen and worsen and worsen. It goes worse and worse and worse. And it's progressive also. We said it's progressive means that you cannot, there is no treatment, and it's getting worse till the patient passed away at the end. So I'll stop here for about 5 minutes to get your answer, guys. Before we move into the next part, we have 3 questions right here, right now. Define dementia. This is the first question. Second question, discuss the numbers, the dementia worldwide, which discuss the consequences of a patient who developed dementia. What the effect of dementia? And I said just now, here is the effect of the dementia: affect the memory, the insights, the abilities to plan, the information processing, the ability reason to learn new ideas, cannot learn anything. Language skills also will affect. And we said the main language which he learned, the native language, will not be affected very well in the early stages. But if he has another languages, he might also lose this as well, or be confused in this. Filtering systems, orientation, and spatial awareness, the perception also be affected. He will increase the stress. He will have more and more stress, and he will become aggressive, and so on. And also the control mechanisms will be less than it was before. So shall leave you right now for these questions. If you have, also you can Google search for more points if you wish. And for further studies, new studies about the dementia and whatever consequences of developing dementia. We'll stop here like around 5 minutes before we move to the next part. To get your answer, guys, please write your answers in your notebook. Write the answers inside the notebook. So define dementia, what is the meaning of dementia, discuss the numbers like we said, then discuss the consequences of patients who develop dementia. We will need it written in your own notebook. Thank you.